Howdy everyone! Welcome back to the Collectathon in Minecraft 1.0. As you can tell, this footage is sped up really fast. It's actually 4 times as fast as normal footage. And the whole point of that is that this whole episode is post-commentary. I wanted to have each episode be this one individual build or this one project, and this one just ended up taking absolutely forever. It's a reason why I haven't uploaded in a while, amongst other real life things and playing Silk Song. But anyways, I moved all my stuff out of my various different bases that I'd pretty much set up in the strip mine and then in the farm. Moved them all right there, and my goal with this build was to just have a castle that has a couple rooms. One is an enchanting room, which I do towards the end. I needed some sort of major storage room because I have so much stuff, and I also needed like a furnace room or a crafting room, something like that. And I think I have like 2 or 3 miscellaneous rooms when I build this that I don't really have a purpose for yet, but I will eventually, because as the versions get newer and I update the world, there's going to be certain things that I'm not thinking of right now that would actually become useful. So I just want to have a little extra space. But anyways, as you can see here, I'm kind of just doing like a foundation. I'm laying out the both the exterior and then also just like some interior walls. I didn't really know going into this how big I wanted this build to be, and it sort of ended up being just a case of I build until I run out of resources and then I grind for resources again. In this case, the resource being just a ridiculous amount of cobblestone. I can't tell you the amount of hours of just grinding I did for this build. It's kind of insane. It's always, at least for me, it's always really fun building huge structures in this game, but doing it in creative mode and not having to worry about anything resource management, not worrying about grinding. I realize now just how spoiled I am with building CTM maps. It takes far less time. That and having all the advanced tools and whatnot, it's amazing. Whereas building this, and also not to mention building in the oldest version of Minecraft, where there's some funny quirks, like with stairs here, you can only place stairs facing one direction, and so a little bit of decoration can be really tough if you can't actually rotate things the way you want it to be. And so as I was placing down all the walls and stuff, I realized it's very gray and I should have some color. Now there's not many colored blocks to pick from, but wood, and it's only oak wood planks, that's the only one that exists, but wood and the nether rack or nether bricks would be a good combo for the second floor and first floor, just to differentiate between the two. Another thing I want to mention too is that the first several episodes I recorded kind of willy-nilly, I suppose. I didn't have a super concrete plan before I started recording, other than I just wanted to get sort of the basic survival foundations down, like a farm or a strip mine, that sort of stuff. The house that I made by the farm was fairly planned, but the rest of it wasn't, and I realize now how critical it is to actually plan things out before building it. This is like a weakness for me. I'm really bad at actually planning things that I'm building, just because I like giving myself the space to be able to build something that can like change or just mold. If I set in my mind some very specific way I'm supposed to build something, then I feel like I'm not allowing myself to be as creative as I possibly can be in the moment. And I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. And it's probably partially nonsense. I mean, I'm sure planning always goes a long way, even in creative projects, but I just like the spur of the moment. I like spontaneity with whatever I'm building. But as far as recording is concerned, it's completely essential to have a plan before recording, because it's going to save me so much time in the editing. And I personally hate video editing. Maybe it's just because the software I have is bad, but I just don't like the idea of combing over hours of footage and squeezing everything together into a nice digestible format. All I'm doing for this series is just like cutting down, cropping out most of the build time and just keeping some of the interesting parts. And that alone is like already just killer to me. I mean, it takes a long time looking through all the footage and I'm just bored, and editing is absolutely the worst part of the experience for me. I like the building part and even the grinding to some extent, I don't mind. But video editing is killer. And so from every episode onwards, including this one, I want to have some planned build in mind. And I think most of the following episodes are just going to be getting straight to the monuments now. Building a monument, and just having that specific monument be the episode. Because each monument's going to be its own unique build. Though not as big or time intensive as this castle that I'm building here. That's going to save me a lot of time just because in the earlier episodes, I made a huge mistake of grinding and building in the same like video recording. And so that means I don't remember like what the hell I'm doing in the video, but I have to go back and see when I'm going to actually be doing something that's worth showing versus just grinding, and I can keep it off camera. The farm in particular was kind of hell to edit just because I was constantly going back and forth between chopping trees and actually building stuff. And here you can see there's a creeper that got into the base. But it's really annoying having to skip around, because sometimes I might even say something important while I'm doing the grinding, or say something that I think is important anyways. And so I have to watch all this garbage that frankly no one is ever going to see the light of day, or no one's going to see the footage ever, and it just takes so much time. Whereas now, even with this huge build, I'm doing nearly all of it off camera. And by the time I decided to do this one post-commentary, I did continue recording the grinding, but I separated the video into different parts so that I know which episode, or which video is a grinding video, and I could just skip over it, skim through it, and which video is an actual important video that I need to look for. Anyways, there was a huge cut there. I walked out of a room that's going to be the minecart station. So anytime I build something and I want to have a way of transportating, anyway, I want to have a way to transport to some other build, it's going to go through there. I actually wasn't planning on doing that as early as I was, and it's still undecorated, but I realized I needed the cobblestone, so I had to just do a whole bunch of digging. And you can also see I, off camera, did the rest of the floor with the nether bricks here. And I think, I'd placed down the furnaces in that furnace room. And I'm not sure if I have the storage room set up yet there, but I did that off camera as well, moving all my junk from the outside part where I had all the space to in all the chests and organized. That's boring, so I didn't even bother recording that. So here I'm adding some pillars on the outside, just so it's not a totally flat wall. I've found in this version it is very, very difficult to come up with ideas of how to spruce up a build, because there's just not that much that I can really use. I mean, cobblestone, stone bricks, and stone, that's kind of all I got. But I am adding some cosmetic things. So here I'm adding little rooks in the corners of this sort of rectangular building I've got, just to give it a little bit of dimensionality to it. And I even add a staircase into one of them later. And there I'm just pointing out that I can see everything from up top, so it's kind of nice being able to look at the farm and the giant monster cube from afar. So here, this is one of the grinding I was about to say episode again. This is one of the grinding videos where I needed more cobblestone for the actual main build, and so I said, screw it, let me just get to building these minecart tunnels. So I needed a path from the farm, which right now this is like the basement of the farmhouse. I needed a path from there to that minecart station that I had set up. And so you can see I'm logging the coordinates of this, and I'm going to be digging a huge path Well, not that huge. This path isn't too long, but the one that goes from the farm to the sheep area is pretty huge. So you can see I have this tunnel there. This took hours. It's boring, just me mining a bunch of blocks. But I wanted to show some of the process, I guess, of this. Again, main idea of this is I wanted fast travel, or faster travel between all the different areas of interest that I build. And a minecart path was the best way to do it. But I also, you know, wanted two birds, one stone. I wanted to have just some way to grind a bunch of cobblestone, and this was the easiest way to do it. So here I'm placing all the rails, having a lever there. I think originally thinking of just putting a button down, but vertical buttons, or like buttons that are flat on the ground, don't exist until like 1.8, I think, maybe 1.7. So I have to just stick with a lever for now, meaning I have to double click the lever in order to actually go anywhere. And there you can see I'm testing the minecart path, making sure that there's enough powered rails to get me moving. So now here's another tunnel. In there I was in the sheep area, and here you can see I've already dug this whole tunnel. It took so long to dig through, even with an efficiency pickaxe, but yeah, then I also test this very, very long path because I want to make sure I have enough powered rails to get me through. And I believe in this clip here I did have enough power to get me up this hill. So that'll save me some time. It also saves me a bunch of food because oddly enough, even with my farm, I'm actually kind of running out of food a lot. And so now here's the last major build. It's kind of half the castle size, and this is going to be for 2 rooms. It's going to be for the brewing room and the enchanting room. And they're sort of twofold. They're going to be on top of each other. It'll make sense as I build it here. You'll see how it works. And I wanted this to be kind of like a pillar in the sky. Make it different from everything that I'd built already, even though the resources are basically the same. You know, it's still cobblestone and stone bricks. But I do my best to decorate it in such a way that it stands out apart from the rest of the castle, and I think it looks pretty nice. But it's a bit of a process, and again, the amount of cobblestone and other resources I'm expending for this is kind of nuts. I didn't expect, you know, I knew it was going to take a whole bunch of resources, but I didn't expect it to take as many resources as it ultimately did take. And so that's kind of just something in the back of my mind now. As I prepare for each subsequent episode, I have some planned project in mind, usually one of the monuments. I've kind of drafted up what I want to do for the next few episodes. And with that episode in mind, I need to very, very heavily track like how many resources I think I'm going to need, and then just multiply that by like 1.5 or 2. Because chances are I'm going to need more anyways. It's kind of like a manager rule of thumb. You know, take however long you think it's going to take and just multiply it by 1.5, and that's probably how much it will actually take. So here you can see I'm getting pretty high up above the lower castle there. The lower castle also doesn't really have much of a roof. I might need to do something to sort of pretty it up later, but I wanted to get main sort of structure down, and I think a roof, it's not visible from down below, so I don't care too much about it. I'll probably pretty it up later though. Not in this episode, but later. And so, as part of trying to spruce up this build, this pillar, and make it look different from everything else, I'm putting a netherrack roof on it. Just a little bit of color can go a long way in a build. As opposed to just having everything be grayscale, I think this is a good choice to try and make it a little bit more interesting, even though the netherrack texture is really ugly, in my opinion, in this version. And it's probably really, really terrible in the bitrate, too. It's kind of a necessary evil for this, just because there's so few blocks I can actually use. I just need some color, and this is one of the only colored blocks in this damn game that would work for this build. Oh, and here you can see I had actually messed up the width of that part there and fixed that up. But as you see, this pillar is going quite high above all the rest of it, and I'm trying to make a sort of pointed roof, and I think it does look pretty good. I believe in this compilation here I go to the ground many times to look at it, and slowly it looks better and better as I add a few little changes and little details to it. There we go. So it's mostly done, but not quite, and here you can see how it looks like from afar. I didn't totally love how flat some parts of it looked, so I'm adding these cobblestone pillars to give it a little bit more dimension. And I do that on every single side, as well as the start of the transition to the netherrack. And then I believe I also put it up into the netherrack as well. Let's see here. Yeah, from afar I have that. I don't have it in the netherrack quite yet, but I do that right here. And so this is kind of the part I like about building, is when you want to just give some build a little extra oomph, and having to be creative with how to do that. Now, in this old ass version, there's, again, not that much you can do. You can only use solid blocks because slabs and stairs just are terrible. If you can't actually rotate them, then they're not much use. But there I add some stuff to the netherrack, but ended up just not liking it at all. I wanted to change it, so I do that. It just seemed too perfectly straight up this pillar. I wasn't a huge fan of it, so I chop it all up and make it so that it sort of goes diagonally. And I do realize with how fast this is, I hope it doesn't give y'all motion sickness. I actually get motion sick pretty easily, and something like this can be a bit of a nightmare for me. But there's just too much footage, too much stuff to show. I couldn't live with myself if I just like did the oh, I did some off-camera building, you know, just completely make something absurdly big without spending any time explaining it. That would just seem wrong. So here I'm adding netherrack to the pillars or the wall as well. Just again, I want more color in the build. This is kind of the easiest way to do that. I believe I do that on all four sides as well. Again, looking at it from afar, this is when I was pretty satisfied with it, and I moved on to other things. I decided to add some color, some netherrack to just the general castle bit as well. Figured it couldn't hurt. So I do several pillars of that. It did actually bleed into the sorting room there, as you can see, but it wasn't so bad. And then one additional detail was all these windows. I love natural light. Like in real life, I love natural light. I love it in builds in Minecraft. Just having windows everywhere is great. Yeah, not much to say about that. I just wanted to have a lot of windows, and glass I thought would look kind of out of place, so I went with iron bars. Hopefully it doesn't make it just seem like it's a prison. But this seemed like the most appropriate block to use for a window here. And I think it looks okay. It sort of fits the style. And I even put those in the corner there too, and each of the rooks. Now here, this is the lower part. So the upper part was like that enchantment room that I'm going to detail out a little bit later, but this is going to be the enchanting room. And so you see I have like a soul sand outline there. I'm planning to have a bunch of nether wart there growing on the outer edge. So it'll be both a farm and a brewing area. And I thought it'd be kind of nice to have like a lava ring on the outside. It's not often you have lava in your interiors willingly. This is kind of my CTM map maker speaking for me in my build. And I also wanted to add some lava to the top. Again, it's just some more lighting options as opposed to just torches. And I think it looks pretty good. It spruces things up a bit. So, We got the enchantment table right in the center of the room. And I want to sort of put it on a little bit of a pedestal. Have the enchantment table distinguished from everything else. And I'm actually very, very proud of this room. Despite how simple it is, again, my excuse for it being as simple as it is just there's not that much I can do in this version. Here I'm trying to see if I can get to level 30, and I can't quite get to it. So I believe I added some more bookshelves, and I did some enchanting. I got a silk touch pickaxe, which is great. And so I wanted some more resources, again, more cobblestone, because I knew if I ever was going to build onto the castle from what I had already, I'm going to need more cobblestone. And so I did the next minecart path from the strip mine here, which has the nether portal, all the way to the base. And again, this took so long. I chopped out 99% of it. You don't want to watch it. It's boring. And then adding the path for the rails. I wanted it to be wooden on there, and I might spruce these up later, make it more like a what is it? An abandoned mine shaft, so I could have a bunch of fences on the side. But I was going for functionality over form with regards to these minecart paths. It's just a way to get from point A to point B, and you can see there I didn't have enough powered rails, so I needed to add a few more in order to actually make it all the way up here. And I give it another test run, and I just barely make it to the top. So that's all looking good. All the way to the top. Alright everyone, I am now back in normal speed. I figured it'd be worthwhile giving a tour of the castle, just because it's so fast-paced in the sped up footage that it's really hard to get a feel for what it's actually like. So this is the entrance. Again, I have the little rooks on both sides. One rook is about half the size. This is the main, I guess, like courtyard, but it's indoors. I'm certainly going to improve this a little bit. This is just the center of it. I kind of want to have like a tree there. I think that could be kind of nice, but I might have to hand build it, or else it would look a little dorky, I think, if there's just a default Minecraft tree in the middle. You see there's the nether rack that's on the inside, and I think it actually doesn't look so bad. Again, I hate the texture, but I think it adds some nice contrast. Some iron bars for the windows. On the left here, oh, I could get rid of this sign. I just wanted to label stuff as I was building it. This is the furnace room, still work in progress. You see it's pretty barren, pretty empty. But a bunch of furnaces there, as well as a staircase up to the second floor if I wanted to go up this way. So this takes me outside. I'm going to stick on the first floor for now, though. So there's also this little room underneath here, which I am tempted to put a painting here and have this be like a secret room. I don't know what I'd put in here, though. That's the problem. I just don't know what to do with it. This will be the brewing room, also work in progress. I don't have a brewing stand here yet or anything. Those vines are just going to continually grow down and then into the fire, but I don't mind it. And I also will place netherwort in the corner here, or in the circle here. But something I found out when just looking at the farm, and I noticed the netherwort was not growing there. And so I went and Googled it, and netherwort doesn't grow in the overworld until like Minecraft 1.3 or 1.4, something like that. So I actually need to grow a bunch of netherwort in the nether. Anyways, this room has absolutely no purpose at the moment. I don't know what to do with it. This will be a room that I guess I find a purpose for in a future version of Minecraft. But right now it's just an empty room. I really, truly have no idea what to put here. What is this? Yeah, I get rid of this sign. So going downstairs, this is the tunnel that has minecarts. Right now it's very, very ugly. Again, a lot of this build is mostly complete. It's just some little bit of flavoring. So I think I'd want to keep it as stone, but maybe have the roof be another block, something like that, and have some pillars up as well for supports. But other than that, the shape I do like, kind of being like a, I don't know, like an aircraft carrier or a hangar. I like the shape of that. So that's the first floor in the basement. I'm gonna go upstairs here to the second floor. There's even less on the second floor, really. So this was the outdoor thing that I showed earlier. This is the bedroom. Incomplete at the moment, but again, it would take very, very little time to actually put something there. So there's that. This is the storage room. I actually have so much cobblestone that I put some in like a backup storage here. And just overlooks the floor there. And then, of course, the enchantment room with more than 30 bookshelves. Or not, more than 15 bookshelves. Current versions of Minecraft, you only need 15 to reach level 30, but here you need much more. And it's very, very random, seemingly, when you'll actually get a high enchant. There we go, got above 30 there. Old enchanting's weird. I like the new enchanting better. But anyways, that's it for this build. I have a little thing out here, a little walkway, but there's not really anything to see there. But other than that, that is basically the castle. That's the build. Oop, just break my legs. So, apologies if the sped up footage was a little bit too fast and it kind of gave you motion sickness or something like that. It's just I couldn't think of any better way of actually showcasing everything I built here in a reasonable amount of time. I mean, it would be like 5 episodes, which I don't want to devote 5 episodes to something that's just a simple base like this. It's just large in scale, and so it takes a while. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.